Hello and good evening. Welcome to the Business of Property. I am your host, Cheryl Leong, Property Development Australia. How are we doing, Australia, and everyone that's here today? Those of you in lockdown, I don't know how many weeks we've been here, but I think I'm starting to get used to living in my Ugg boots. And I'm really, really tempted to turn up next week in my Udi as well. So thanks for being here today. Our special guest is Chris Smith, who's the founder of Reno Sketch. And he has over 20 years of experience in the design industry working for major architectural firms. And why we've invited Chris today is to help us look at a very helpful tool that you can use to model and problem solve your projects, and it's called SketchUp. And I'll invite Chris down to the virtual floor to join me. Hi, good evening, Chris. How are you doing?
Hi, Cheryl. Yeah, really good. How are
Fan-
you?
Fantastic. I am doing very, very well. Thank you. It's good to be here, good to be safe and well. We have an audience here with us on Facebook land and LinkedIn land. So we're very keen. I mean, Chris, I understand that you've got this background in design and architectural. Tell us a little bit about what SketchUp is and how it can be used and why you have become sort of so engrossed and specialized in it.
Yes, certainly. Thanks, Cheryl, for having me here tonight. For me, a little bit about myself and to answer your question as to why I've kind of got right into SketchUp. Yes, I've worked for many architectural firms, both Melbourne and Sydney, as an interior designer for the last just over 20 years. And the program that I have used throughout my career, I've used quite a few, but one of them being SketchUp. And the thing I love about SketchUp is that it's very intuitive to use. It's very easy
Mm,
to use, and also you can be as detailed as you want with SketchUp, or you can be quite very fluid, easy. Conceptual work with SketchUp. So you don't have to be as detailed in the beginning, but you can get as detailed as you like. So the reason why I love that as to some other programs that I use or have used in the past is that sometimes you have to be quite precise straight away. So you don't have that freedom of being able to create concept work as easily using those programs.
mm,
And my background in interior design has been a lot of commercial projects, commercial hospitality, and in the later part of my career has been, yeah, more in the residential. So, but also in the commercial residential, doing working for some larger property developer companies, doing some high rises at the company I used to work for. And with Reno Sketch, which is very new, so it started this year. We do residential. We do kind of medium level. We don't do high end. Kind of do mid level interior spaces. And we I use SketchUp to create for clients a whole lot of visual imagery using SketchUp, as well as the 2D plans and drafting at work as well. So SketchUp has that ability to do both. So I hope that maybe answers your question
yeah.
there.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, we want to be able to see SketchUp in the flesh and in use. So I know that you've got a little bit of a presentation ready for us. Why don't we dive into telling us a little bit about it and how we can use it? I mean, we've got a lot of property
Mm,
developers, investors, renovators in the community, and often I think we sort of think that if we want any plans done, we need to have a professional, a draftsperson, or an architect um, help us create that. Where does SketchUp come into this?
so yeah, Great question. So SketchUp basically, because it is quite intuitive and you can easily kind of get a hang of doing SketchUp yourself to do some kind of loose 3D work. So you can create facade options that you may be thinking about doing. I love it because it's a great tool to look at your site in 3D and get an understanding of the site constraints, the council control guidelines, boundary setbacks and stuff. You can see it in 3D.
Mm.
A lot of my clients have trouble visualizing this information. So if I can present it to them in 3D and they can see an image of that, or even an animation of their site, just puts that into perspective. And then you can look at SketchUp, using SketchUp to look at carving up 3D mass. So what is possible, how to get that ratio of floor area options to the site area that you need to satisfy for council, things like that. So um, that's the kind of thing I can show you tonight as well. I've got a little presentation, and we can also, if you like, if we have time, I can jump into the actual program to show you a little bit of how intuitively easy it is to use. So for
Yeah.
further for you guys with your developments or joint ventures, and you've got stakeholders or people who you need to communicate information to,
Mm.
it's a great tool to be able to do that in a 3D way with images.
Yeah, before I guess you even get sort of your architecturals and your drafts, it's sort of these are the sort of ideas that we're envisaging. Okay, so it'll be
Exactly. Yeah.
and so I mean I know you mentioned intuitive. I'm really I'm really keen to see when you're talking about intuitive. It's iPhone intuitive, so it's Samsung intuitive, like what intuitive that means, and I'm sure we'll have a look.
Yeah.
And what sort of knowledge people need to have at least have before they use it well.
Yeah, I think if people have a little bit of understanding of some programs, they'll probably pick it up really quickly as opposed to if you don't have any other program experience. So if you're using things like PowerPoint or Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, a little bit like that, you can even get those programs like versions on your phone, your iPhone.
Mm.
Um, so if you're kind of using PowerPoint or things like that, we probably pick this up pretty quickly. So it's very easy to use. I also teach how to use SketchUp as a bit of a side gig. So I do that for a lovely lady by the name of Belinda Smith for her clients who are renovators who want to use SketchUp for, and SketchUp can be used for so many things, which I'll show you. So I teach it as well, and I find the students seem to get a grasp of how to use this pretty easy. So if you want, I can maybe start by going through the
Let's jump
presentation.
into it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'll just share screen,
And whilst you're
or if we
doing
can
that,
share screen.
anyone that's our audience today, you have any questions or if you've used SketchUp yourself, I'd love to hear what your experience has been. How is it how you've used it, whether it's to present some concept ideas, whether you've used it for sort of interior design. I'd love for you to share again, share your experiences and ask any questions of Chris as well. So over to you.
Great. All right. So I can actually see that. Can everyone see the presentation here?
Yes, the one with it's got
Yeah.
5 dot points.
Yes. Great.
Okay,
Excellent.
perfect.
So I'll just run through these points and then I'll elaborate upon them as we go. So yeah, it can produce 3D visual images, and these can be used to accompany your feasibility studies, and as well as being able to communicate with stakeholders. So when it comes to council and your setbacks, you don't try and visualize them. You can actually model them up in 3D and look at different possible development options within that site using mass. So I'm going to show you a little bit later. Well, after this, I'm going to show a little video that kind of shows you highlights of SketchUp, what it can do. So create multiple 3D facade design options. I've got a client's project where I'll show you some facade design options I've done with different colorways. You can also do a little bit of your own value engineering. So with SketchUp, you can quantify areas, floor areas, wall areas, and volumes. So then you can apply that for calculating floor finishes, costings, and all that kind of thing. And when it does come to, briefing an architect, you can hand them the 3D model. They can then run with that, and it makes it so much easier to brief them exactly what you want. Or when engaging a draftsman, these days it's called a building designer, you can be able to, brief them really, really well, hand over the model. And like I said, you can have that 3D model as detailed or as basic as you want, and then they can run with it. All right, so I'll just go to the next slide. This is a video. I'll just start that up. This is kind of going to give you a hint of what you can do. So SketchUp was made by Google. You can basically position your site, your model on the site. This is in Barara Heights. And you can then extract the location, the terrain from that location in 3D. So if you've got a sloping site, it will extract that geometry. You could then do shadow studies because your model will be geolocated exactly. If you punch in an address, it'll geolocate it exactly where the address is, so you can cast accurate shadow studies. And like I was saying, you can get the terrain from, so it works with Google Earth and extracts that information, which is a great feature. So now it's about to show you an example of zooming in to an area in Sydney. So this is Barara Heights. This is a project that I did for a client. So basically you select a region, and once you're happy with the region, it'll then extract it and plonk it into your SketchUp program. So you import that, brings that in, gives you the longitude and latitude of that actual street address. And then you can do different kind of things with that. You can add the existing site conditions to do an analysis of that site. So this is just a very basic box indicating the existing site that was on the house that was on the site. There you can see the geolocated terrain. And then here we're kind of looking at identifying the site boundaries, which are in the hot pink, and the green area, which is, I guess, buildable space on that site. You can look at height restrictions and council planning controls. So it's kind of spinning around the site at the moment.
Just with that, Chris, sorry to interrupt. In terms of setbacks and height control, so how do you put that in, or does the SketchUp have the ability to extract that information?
So yeah, you have to put that in. So with the once you've got the site conditions, and again, being that you can be as detailed or as plain Jane as you like, SketchUp also it now is works with Trimble, so you could also plug in 3D point cloud surveys of sites. I mean, you can do all kinds of things. But the great thing about using the Google Earth to get your extraction of the terrain is that you can get an outline of the site, and then from there draw in the setbacks yourself. So that's what I've done for this example. Just move that
I like
around.
that you can sort of see sort of if you need to do some excavation or sort of underground parking, that sort of thing. You can visually see
Yes.
that at this point.
So this here, you can kind of see this lower part here is the excavation limit was 1 meter on this site. You then had a a floor, first floor height restriction of 1.5 meters, and then a overall height of 8-meter restriction. So for the client, so this was a couple, this client, the wife had a lot of trouble trying to envisage what they were wanting to talk about to do. So I did this exercise for them, and then was able to look at the ratio of, that the 430 meters square was the maximum floor area that the council would allow. It's about a 962 meter square lot size. So from doing this, you can calculate, the site area if you haven't got that information. If you haven't got a surveyor on board at this stage. So it's kind of really early stages. And I'll just kind of run through that there to the end of the video. And yeah, it's a very handy tool for designing new builds as well as renovations. So I'll just pop on to the next slide. So yeah, with this kind of work can help you with your feasibility studies. You can do then different kind of configurations of volumes of mass, and then that could also aid with decision-making process with your stakeholders. So everybody can talk to the model, they can talk to the screen, you can export images to email or PDF and so on. So again, it just helps you visualize. You don't have to visualize, you can see it on the screen. And like I said, you can export images and animations, which is what we just saw. It's great at doing little animations where you get a whole 360-degree view of your proposal. And that way, if everyone's on the same page, you can make educated decisions that you need to. So I've got a bit of an example here, that same example. So here you've got your boundary setbacks in the hot pink, you've got your height restrictions in the pale pink, and then buildable area, proposed building mass volume, and then that's kind of the same information that I was talking about. I kind of got ahead of myself there. But it's a great tool. So you can then, email this to builders, you can email it to your private certifier, and you can build upon this. This is just an example. So as well as doing site studies and things like that, you can also do your whole house proposal, the design, how you want it to look, what material finishes you're going to use, which is great for showing to your JV partners, get them on board with the kind of style that you think would appeal to the demographic that the project is working towards. And you can also have a great tool to brief your builders, building designers, as mentioned previously. So when you'd be able to talk to a 3D model, and I'll just kind of go to the next slide. So here we've got an example for a client. You may know this client. It's Belinda Smith of Renovate and Real Estate. This is her project.
I noticed her arches.
You know, there we go. Those infamous arches. So again, this is able to communicate, different kind of finish options for Belinda. Not that she needs that much help in visualizing finishes, but there's other people involved in that project as well. So her husband and so on. So here we've got, a light finish option. Original building is brick, so it's rendered. So we've got a white paint render finish, white window frames, and then we've got a sandstone detail finish. Also, we've got a bit of use of breeze block, and here we've got some planting to see what that would look like. And the other option, you can see what it would look like without that planting option. You can go with a darker scheme with a darker roof. We've got black window frames and black balustrading. Got the same sandstone, but just to see how that would look. So you can imagine, it's very quick and easy with a paintbrush tool to do this. The other thing about SketchUp is that you can import material finishes that you've downloaded. So If you've got specific finishes from a certain supplier, you can download the image from their website, plug that in, use the paintbrush tool and paint that finish onto your model. So it's a great tool that way. So as well as all that 3D stuff, you can then extract section cuts which create your 2D plans from your model. So that helps to, again, visually communicate the plans to your partners and nut out exactly what is going where, how that rooms adjacency relationships work, the circulation flow of your kitchens, how are they working, and so on. And you can then also use it to add up, as I mentioned, floor areas, wall areas, which is incredibly useful for looking at cost of materials and quantifying that kind of information. So it's a really valuable resource. So if you've got someone in your business that can use this program, and it's very easy to start using, then that becomes, you're almost getting back, claiming that kind of information and work in-house. So maybe you've got some mum and dad renovators, or you've got small business developer owners, and maybe it's in the family. You can have someone in the family who learns this program, and then you kind of claim back that information. You don't have to outsource that information.
I have a bit of a giggle because I can see my family out with the ruler and the pencil and the and we're trying to figure out measuring the
Trying to figure out.
kitchen. Yeah, yeah. And I look at it now, and because we're doing this for our backyard, and sort of trying to visualize where the pool and the landscaping is going to be. I'm like, I look at this, I'm like, I
This
could
is
just do
perfect for
that.
you,
This
Cheryl.
is perfect. There we
Yes.
go. My husband, if you're listening, this is what we need to do. Not try to look through the piece of paper and make sure that we've sketched
Yes.
out.
This is exactly most of my clients have this problem where they're trying to figure the scale of what they want to do.
Mm,
And this program enables you to see the scale, that you can both, without trying to visualize what's in your partner or your joint venture's head, you both
mm.
can see it right in front of you. There's no
Yeah,
guessing. It takes all that
yeah,
guesswork out. So,
yeah.
yeah, this is an example of SketchUp, where you get SketchUp. There's a free version you can use, which comes with SketchUp Layout, as well as the paid version, which is SketchUp Pro, comes with SketchUp Layout. So you can use Layout to do quite professional looking drawings, such as this with your title blocks and so on. And then they've got tables that you can use. You can have your table information in Excel, and then that can be plugged into SketchUp. So you update your information in Excel, and then that updates directly into SketchUp as well. So here you can see, council planning control, maximum area was 430 meters squared. And for these guys, we came in at 323 meters squared. So we're well within that planning control.
Mm,
The another amazing thing I mentioned earlier is to create shadow studies. So once the model is geolocated, you can create, we can turn on the shadow sun setting function and place it at any time of day, at any month of the year. And that, once it's geolocated, does it for Sydney, Australia, or wherever that project is. If you don't geolocate it, the setting is set to, I think it's Canadian. Not sure why. Maybe SketchUp is originally, I don't know, is Google in Canada? I don't know. Wherever Google is, or whatever reason, the default is Canadian. This is really, really, really great tool. So it helps you, the client, or yourself, whoever is the audience, understand what kind of shading structure they may need for their site. So I've got a little video example here. Client project. This is a proposal I did. There's summer February sunrise to sunset. So the dark building is the proposed extension. The white building is the existing building. So we're looking at
Mm.
shading structures and to try and tackle this west facing part of the rear of the house and what to do. And then this is in July, so winter, sunrise to sunset. So looking at how that performs, it lets in a little bit of the late afternoon sunlight into the house. So for this client, we ended up having to do quite a bit more of extension out the back here to provide extra shading structure than what they anticipated. Without that tool, they may have only realized that very late in the game during construction. So you can see how having that data and info
Mm.
analyzed at its planning design stage can help you save or maybe actually in this case they spent more money, but the end result was that they're not having the sun, they're having adequate
Yes.
shading in the
Yeah.
design. It's not, the sun is not going to stream through the windows and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So,
And I
and then
think
have to do,
most. Mm. Sorry, I was
yeah,
going to say,
sorry,
Chris,
Cheryl.
like, because often we get drawings and it's sort of a static image of the shadow diagram, and you can't really see. I love that visual, actual movement of the sun, and you can actually see, oh, right, it's passing over, and where the shade is, and often
Yes.
when we're purchasing properties, and I remember this when we were building our house, and the back of our house faces west, and the western sun
Ah, yep.
is horrendously strong
Yes.
in summer, but we learnt that we needed to have less glass there and
Yep.
more walls, whereas I could see across our neighbors, like some of them, because they would not have been able to visualize that full glass. And
Mm,
so something like this would be so helpful to have, to be able to say, hey, you might want to think of some sort of awning, or and this is why.
yep. Exactly. Exactly. Like the clients purchased this house a year ago, or actually no, 2 years ago now, because time is just all going by so quickly in lockdown. So they lived there for about a year, and there was a massive problem. So they'd been through a summer. This existing house here, there was like a sunroom here, and it
Mm,
was just incredibly hot in summer. So they definitely wanted to have some kind of structure here, but the size and extent and what it was going to be was just all a big question mark. So this really helped them nut out how much they needed and what
yeah,
kind of shading structure it was going to be.
yeah,
Um,
that's
all
great.
right, so I might just pop off now to the program.
I'm already signing up, Chris. I'm like,
You are
I
awesome.
could see my backyard renovation coming together.
It's
It's not going to
it's
require me with a rubber and a ruler.
oh, there maybe here's a bit of a disclaimer. You can go down a bit of a rabbit hole once you're doing everything in 3D
Yes.
because the possibilities become endless.
Mm.
I think if you do it for a client, it's not a problem. If it's your own property, you can just do anything.
At the moment,
Um,
people are in lockdown, so I think if they need to fill up their time with practicing their SketchUp skills, might not be too bad a thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's very good for this time of or right now. So yeah, this is just kind of this is Belinda's house,
Mm.
and we're kind of at the stage of getting into the interiors here. So I'll just show you before I move away from the plan into 3D. I will just show you. So down here we've got the makings of a kitchen. What's really great is that you've got a bit of a layer system, so you can turn your different kitchen options on and off. So we've got kitchen option
Mm.
2 on at the moment, which is an island. You could turn that off. You could turn kitchen option 1 on, and it's got a peninsula bench. and we'll show you that in 3D as well. So that kind of function is fantastic. So you can do that for bathrooms and whatnot. I'll just take you now to a 3D view of the front that we saw before.
So, Chris, when you're starting a design like this, do you start in 2D and then 3D? Because I'm trying to figure out how you work out. Like, I see everything from an eagle eye point of view and the layout. Like, then, how do I then go from that to
To
that?
3D.
Yeah.
Yes. So in the SketchUp course I teach, I'm a very methodical person. So this course is methodical, and I teach people how to crawl before they walk, and walk before they run, and run before they fly.
Mm,
So, um, but once you've got that knowledge, you can then, which I said to a student who's out of the 6 modules, she's doing module 4, and and through the course you learn how to build a 2-story house. And her main reason for getting SketchUp is she's going to do her brother's house. So she wants to design it in SketchUp. And I said to her, you're at the point now where you can start doing that, and you can start doing it in 3D. You don't have to do it in 2D. I think the only reason why now in SketchUp you would do in 2D is to explain with drawings a scope of work. So you've got existing, you've then got a demolition scope, and
mm,
then you've got a proposed scope, and that traditionally is done in 2D plans. However, I do all my models in 3D, and then what I do is I simply cut the section planes to cut
mm.
for the plan view
Okay.
to
Yep.
get the 2D. So it's almost in reverse
Yes.
using SketchUp. You're doing 3D and then your 2D secondary.
Yep.
So
Makes
just
sense.
orbiting around now, you can see um, by using the mouse, it's very powerful in that you can shift and pan just using the mouse and a shift
We all
key.
know where we're going for a party after lockdown is over. Belinda,
Looks,
check out
so
your
we're going
outdoor
to
al
go.
fresco.
I believe she is here tonight. So,
I'm sure
and
she
she's
is.
seen most of this, so that's all good.
Party at
Yes,
Belinda's
it's
house. Your
party at
place,
Belinda's place.
absolutely.
So this is actually Belinda's actually turning this house into 2 townhouses. So this is unit 2 rather, and there's the entry here.
Yeah,
Um,
fabulous.
And then there's unit 1, which is the main entry here with the garage here. And then the garage to unit 2 is around the back there we saw.
Mm, mm.
And we've got a bit of unit 1's got a bit of an outdoor area in the front here. So the ability to be able to orbit around this in 3D is just, priceless. And then you can zoom in and zoom through a
Oh,
window.
wow.
So here's that kitchen in 3D. That's option 1, and then we can go back and turn on or turn off that option. Oh, sorry, that's option 2 with the island, or whatever. And option 1 is the peninsula island. So you can kind of
Mm,
get a really
mm.
good idea. There's different kind of views. You can do what's a walking, so you can do like walking around. It'll then kind of bump into things and you kind of steer it around. And then you've got look around. So look around's a little bit different to just the panning and orbiting. It actually will, you can then look up
Yep.
at the extent of the room, get a really good idea of the room and the scale of things. So it's such a great tool that is very intuitive and easy to learn. So I might just do a little bit of demo of that now.
Yeah, that would be great. And can you
Yeah,
layer on colors and textures as well?
yes. Yes, so that'll be our next part for this project. So I'll just open up my paint bucket tool. Here we've got our colors. So we've got colors in the model. And I'll just show you this is the sandstone that I've grabbed from a supplier. There was also some timber that I've grabbed from a supplier. But in here is a library from SketchUp. You've got everything from asphalt, concrete, brick, carpets, fabrics, you name it that goes into anything. It's here. However, I like to use the actual material finishes that we're proposing. So, and also too, you can go to the actual detail length of once you've applied a finish. Say where, oh, I don't know what I've done there. I've added something. I've added a horrible baby poo brown color. Let's not do that. Let's add some very pale timber here. So I'll just go and add that into perhaps say this bench top. Just go inside this grouping. Actually, I'm not quite sure where I've gone a little bit far in. I'll just paint that on the top there. And I'll just turn the shadow settings off. The shadows, they take up a lot of memory. So, so here you go. I've got a pale timber. We're in the ceiling there. Got a lovely pale timber. I think it's almost like a bamboo. So that's kind of, you can see the bench top there. You can go to the nth degree of actually using the texture. You can position. So you can see how quite small scale that is. You can actually bring that up so you can see the grain, make it full.
There you go. Yep.
So that's really useful if you're wanting to do some tile layouts and you've got the tiling. You can then measure out the size of the tile and get the graphics of that tile to scale, and then calculate how many tiles you're going to put on a wall, which is, great for that quantifying.
Fantastic. Yes.
So there you go, Belinda. You've got a lovely timber bench top on there. I don't think she'll like that. I think she wants.
I was going to say, were you happy with that color?
Yeah, so that's kind of an example of applying finishes. But I will just open up. So when you get SketchUp, you open a template, and the template is about your units of measure, so feet, meters, inches, or millimeters. So I use architectural millimeters, and here we have SketchUp have little figures when you open a template, and they're people who work at SketchUp. So here we have
that's cute.
Sumela. So hi Sumela and bye Sumela. So it's really just to prove how easy it is. You've got your standard kind of, if anyone uses any kind of editing tool in like photos or anything, you might see similar kind of tools, a pencil tool, a razor tool, drawing rectangles or shapes. So that kind of is quite an easy to read menu as it is. But if I just draw a rectangle, you can be as vague as you like. You can just do free form and click anywhere, or you can be as detailed as you like. So the dimensions down here in the bottom right corner, I can enter my room, say, of 3 meters, 3,000 millimeters by 3,000 millimeters. And then from there, I can simply do a little offset, and I might want to do my walls offset of, say, 90 stud wall. And then this little up push pull tool, grab that and you go up and you tell it I want to go up 2400. And there you are, you're in 3D already. There's your walls. You might want to make this room. So I've got spinning wheels on my Mac. So bear with me for a second. There we go. You then may want to go, oh, well, I want that room to be 4 meters. So simply grab a wall, grab a move tool, and click on the end, and then pull that out as much as you want. Or in the bottom right, again, you can type in, say, an extra meter, and there you've got an extended wall there. So it's really, really quite easy to use. And then you just add layers and details on top of that. So the other thing about SketchUp is it works on this idea of groups and components. So I'll just demonstrate the components. So there's my room. I'm going to make that a component. I'm going to call that a bedroom. Create. And then that I'm going to copy pretty easily, make another one, and make a third one. And then you go, oh, actually, I forgot to put a door in. So I'm going to put a door in here. Just draw another little rectangle, and I'm going to pop it in somewhere there. But I'm going to tell it I want it to be 900 by 2100. And you'll notice that the others updated it as well. So this then, you then kind of designing by replica. So you've got 3 identical rooms. You then we want to make one a bit more unique. So you go, oh, make that unique. And that's going to be bedroom number 1. This one and this one may be exactly the same, so we'll leave them the same. And then this guy, you can then start playing around and make that a different size. Oh, I've grabbed something extra there. So I'll just go back here, grab that there. And we'll go this way, another meter.
I can see how you can
unique.
spend hours just having a play with all the features.
Yeah, having a play. You go, right, there's our, you could either, it just becomes, the ability to copy and group and replicate is just makes it so simple. So here I'm going to rotate these around, but if by pressing one key on my keyboard, Option key, I can replicate that again. And then all of a sudden, I'll align that down here very easily with my room on the other side, and suddenly I've got my corridor. And I'll just fill that in with a rectangle, and there's my corridor. Then if you'd want to do your exterior wall, it's just basically another kind of this is forgive my very crudeness, but that's just external wall making. And then you can offset that to a wall thickness. Say you've got a 210, got some bricks or mortar or something, you can bring that up.
And so, Chris, if you're doing a renovation, and you've got an existing floor plan, do you and say it's the house is young enough to have a floor plan and plans already, do you have to recreate that whole floor plan before you renovate, like do the inside, or can you export a design from previous?
You could import a JPEG, you can import a PDF. So if you've bought a project plan or actually I don't condone this, but if you maybe have a project home plan that you quite like, and you have a digital copy, you can import that, and and you can then simply create. So this is obviously if you were from scratch, but if you do import a plan, you can then simply trace over the walls and extrude them up, and off you go. And then just trace over the plan. So that's I did my brother's extension that way, which was a Metricon home, single story. It was built. I lived in it for X amount of years, and then I decided to put a second story on top. So
Mm.
I took their Metricon home plans, brought them in, traced over it, drew up the existing house, and then from there we added on the top floor exactly how they wanted it. They took that to a builder, and they had in-house drafting team. They did all the drafting, changed and tweaked a few things, but basically they handed him exactly what they wanted.
Yes.
And there was no misunderstanding of what they wanted, and they delivered them a second story. Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
Mm.
I teach for the course with Rare, through Rare. I teach the method of sorry, calculating or site measuring your room sizes, putting it into a table, and then drawing it from scratch,
Mm.
because that gives you a really accurate dimension. When you import a plan, it's going to be slightly out by a few millimeters because you do have to scale that drawing. Unless you get an exported drawing file, say from an architect, but
Like
if
a
you've already got
DWG.
a DWG or DXF,
Mm.
yes,
Mm.
that you can bring that in, and that would be perfect. So that's what I've actually done with Belinda's house. That is a DWG from the architect.
Fantastic.
So yeah, it's very easy to use. If you want to do some facade options, it's very easy to do that. You don't even have to build the whole house. You can just build the front of the house, and then build, say, some massing objects. Perhaps you maybe want a bit of a
Mm.
mass going out here. I don't know. I'm just kind of playing. You can really. It's great for just kind of playing around. Maybe you want an overhang entry here, so you kind of segment that mass and then extend it
Yeah,
out
right.
here, and then
Mm.
maybe you draw entries here. Maybe this then becomes I'm kind of, excuse the crudeness, but maybe that's
Mm.
a bit of a garage in there. Then here's your entries in here. So that's kind of when you kind of do that free form just
Yeah.
for idea generating. It's fantastic for that because you can do that and then get more detailed and break it down and get your measurements right and all that kind of thing. So
Fantastic.
yeah.
I should have just said, "Oh, maybe Chris, you could show us how an extension and a pool might look like. We happen to have this property here as an example." But I can see how quickly you've been able to put that together, obviously from years and years of experience using SketchUp. But
Mm,
anyone that's listening in, and if you're wanting to visualize what an extension might look like, or a renovation, or your project, I think this is a great first step to be able to explore various options before you even sit down with an architect or a builder, so that you have in your mind what might be possible. And as you can see,
mm,
like Chris, like even just speaking with you, and you're already pulling things together, is it because you've got the experience of being able to do this? But for those who have a bit of time in lockdown and want to pick up a new
mm.
skill, what are
Yes.
the ways for them to be able to learn? Because like you mentioned a few times that you've got a course. Can you share a little bit about that with us, please?
Absolutely, love to. So through renovation, sorry, through Rare Renovating Real Estate, Belinda's going to kill me, not saying that properly, but through Renovating Real Estate, Belinda has a renovation course, and she offers a part of that course is the 6 modules in learning SketchUp. The course is also available independently of the renovation course, um, and it's 6 modules. I also do every Monday night a tutorial Q&A for an hour. So every Monday night, you get that added support if you've got any questions, any problems. And then full time, there's a Facebook page where you can post any questions you're having, and I check the Facebook page every day, so and answer your questions. So lots of support there. I think the feedback we get and the reason why people are choosing this course is that there is that added support, and also the course modules themselves, the videos. I present them in a very easy to follow manner, which was one of the main reasons why we did this course. Belinda came to me and said, "I love what you do. Would you be interested in doing a online course for me as part of my renovation course?" And I was like, "Wow, okay, yeah, sure, let's do this." And the reason was, she said, is that people have tried other courses and they've been lost in not being able to follow it. The videos are too quick and whatever have you. So I really break it down. It's very methodical, and you'll be sketching up in no time. So if people want to find this course, it's both. You can find it through either my website or through Belinda's website. The easiest way to get there would be to go to my Instagram or my website, which is renosketch.com.au, and I've got a page there which has a link to the course at Rare, and or if you want to go to rare.com.au, I think that's right, Belinda. And but we're both on members in the group, so you can find us on the Facebook pages as well, or you can even just join the Facebook page. The course is called SketchUp Made Easy. That kind of says it all, really. We make it easy.
Fantastic. No, I've loved what I've seen here. I'm going to be like I said, I'm going to have a bit of a play with the free version. Renovate and realestate.com.au. Chris, you're going to be in trouble tonight.
I know. I think my phone
I
actually going off.
think okay. But we've got it there. Thanks, Belinda. No, Chris, that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing that and giving us a live demo of how you can actually use SketchUp
No
and
worries.
how easy it is. Like you said, it's intuitive. Probably, if you're wanting to save a little bit of time and you need drawings done, probably not the best time to try to work it out yourself right at this moment, but maybe get someone like Chris to help you with that. And then when you've got a bit of time to play around with it, then do so. Do the course, educate yourself. He's not in trouble, Belinda says publicly. Who knows what happens behind the scenes? I'm just kidding. Thank you so much, and everyone that's been with us and commented. Thank you for your support. I appreciate you all being here. I hope you are all well. You're all safe and well. That was fantastic. And thank you for being here. Would love to see you in the next episode of the Business of Property. Keep well, take care, and we'll see you all again. Thank you. Bye bye.